So, comfortable seat just to start, whatever that is for you. You could also have a blanket or a pillow and sit on the edge of it, so your hips are a little bit more elevated. If you're sitting cross-legged, that will allow your knees to drop a little bit more and your shoulders to come a bit more over your hips, so you've got that lifted spine. Alternatives here is to bring one leg out to the side or the other, or bring both legs out if you prefer. And then let's find just some arriving, so closing eyes if that's available, feels comfortable. And then allowing your shoulders to move away from your ears and maybe finding just a bit more of a lifted spine. And these first breaths, maybe some open mouth exhales, letting go of whatever happened before this moment and making space for what might happen next. And play around for a few breaths with the length, the depth, the rhythm of your inhales and exhales. And then eventually find a breath, a rhythm that is sustainable and has just the right amount of effort and ease for you today. You want there to be some effort, some engagement to keep you present with your breath. And you want some ease so that you can sustain that breath, and that breath is nourishing and helpful. And if you haven't already, try breathing a bit more through the nose, especially with your exhales. And then see if you can bring your attention to the movement through your belly, and especially as you exhale, see if you can feel that your belly needs to draw gently in towards the spine and also up towards the lower ribs. So if you kind of focus on your belly button, you might draw or think about that belly button drawing in and gently up as you exhale. And then you might keep some of that engagement as you breathe in, and that next inhale will happen mostly in your rib cage and your chest, so you might find extra expansion there when you keep your belly kind of contained. And take a few more like that. Breathing out through the nose requires a bit more effort. And that's where the engagement through abdominal muscles is helpful. And then we'll use the next inhale to reach those arms out and up. You could keep your eyes closed or open those eyes. And then on your exhale, take your arms wide and down. Maybe fingertips plant on the ground. Inhale again, arms lift. And exhale, arms will lower. And inhale, arms will lift. And exhale, arms will lower. This time on your inhale, arms will lift and interlace your fingers overhead. Turn the palms towards the ceiling and push those palms away. Get that stretch through the side body. See if you can feel it through your armpits. all the way through your wrists, your palms, and your fingers. Another breath in. And then on your exhale, slide your right hand behind you, left hand crosses over as you find a twist towards the right side. A little push or pull with your hands, but keep that engagement through the core and mostly use your core to turn. And then keep your left hand where it is, turn your torso forward and bring your right arm over the left and see if you can catch your other leg. So you've got right arm on top of left crossing, and then we're going to round spine, chin towards the chest, and give those legs an extra pull as if you were trying to bring your elbows closer. And notice that stretch through the back body, back of your neck. As you inhale, unravel, reach your arms up. And then on your exhale, take your left hand behind you, right hand crosses as you find your twist towards the left side. Pausing here. So not only using your right hand kind of pulls a bit, but your left hand that's behind you, think about pushing it into the ground. Another breath. And then keep your right hand where it is and sweep your left arm across and over the right as you find your other leg, and then see again if you can pull on those legs and round your spine, chin towards your chest. Notice that stretch in the back body. Take a breath. And then use your next inhale to release this. Reach your arms overhead, lengthen. And on your exhale, release your arms down. So if you were sitting cross-legged, switch the cross of your legs. And then see if you can find the pinky side edge of your feet and push it down into the ground. And you might send your feet a little forward, so you've got a bit more space kind of in the inner part of your legs. And then we're just going to lift the knees, and you could do this with your hands down or your fingertips down on the ground. And just lift the knees, but keep your feet where they are, and then lower knees. And then lift. There you go. And then lower. Think about pushing down through pinky side of feet. Lift and lower. And then from here, cross the other way again. And again, pinky side of the feet is on the ground. Your feet are flexed, so active feet here. And then we'll do the same thing. Lift those knees. Think about knees coming towards each other. And then squeeze those knees down or push those knees down. And then lift and lower. And lift and lower. Nice. Switch the cross of the legs once again. And now here is where the blocks are going to come in really handy. So if you're using them, I've only got one, so it's not very helpful in my case. But you'll plant your blocks kind of more or less in line with your knees. So you've not got them back here, you've got them a little forward. So if I come sideways, you might see my alignment a bit better. So your hands are going to be in line with your knees. So that's going to mean that you're going to round forward a bit here. And it's kind of, you'll have to find the place that works best for you. More forward, a little bit back, depends. Okay. And then plant your hands well. So you're going to be putting some weight into those hands. But just like we've been using the legs, press through the outer edge of your feet and then see if you can push into those hands and lift your sit bones. Now, don't focus too much about how high you lift, but you'll notice that you've got a rounded spine. And what we want to try and focus on here is on that scooping action. We were working on this on Wednesday through the lower belly. Okay, so think about the lower belly getting kind of short, the pubic bone coming towards your lower ribs. So you're going forward and you're lifting. Okay, and it might not be very much, but see if you can find the action through lower belly. And again, coming forward and lift any amount. And play with the position of your hands because it will make a difference. If you've got them behind you, it's really going to be a little harder. So bring them towards your knees or kind of halfway up between your knees and your hips. And then you've got to find this rounded upper body. So think about protraction through shoulders like we were working in our plank poses earlier in the week. and finding that lift. And then if you did a few on this side, switch your legs, cross them the other way, and try it like this. And again, remember here, your legs are active. You're pushing down through the pinky side of your feet. Of course, you're pushing into your hands. And that's why having your hands a little higher will give you a bit more space to lift up. Because this definitely, the proportion of your arms, the length of your arms will definitely play a part here in lifting those hips. Okay? But find that scooping action through lower belly. Take a couple more. And then release it down. And then from here, bring your hands in front of you, palm to palm, interlace your fingers and rotate your wrists in one direction. And rotate them in the other. And then we're going to find another counter pose for those wrists. So palm is going to be facing us. Fingers are pointing down. Your thumb is going to come to the base of your palm, and then your fingers are going to wrap through onto the top of your hand. So I'll do this a little closer. We've done this before, but think about your thumb pushing and your fingers pulling. And that will give you that stretch through the top of the wrist, which is exactly the opposite of what we were doing earlier. And do that for a breath in, a breath out. And then switch, do it with the other hand. Thumb to the base of the palm, push into that with that thumb, and then pull with your fingers on the top of the hand and get that stretch through the top of your wrist. A breath in and a breath out. And then with your next inhale, release that, reach your arms overhead. And on your exhale, right hand behind you, and find again a twist towards the right side. Pause here, full inhale, and a full exhale. And then as you breathe in, back through center, and take it over to the other side. Left hand behind us, right hand crosses over, twisting towards your left. Breath in, and breath out. And then on your inhale, bring yourself back through center, reach your arms overhead. And as you exhale, lower those hands in front of you, maybe using your block, and just walk your block and your hands as far forward as is available to you at this point. You can let your legs be a little bit more relaxed. Take a breath. And now in this forward fold, think about some cows and cats with your spine. Okay, so find that chest coming forward, that gaze, that chin lifting. And then on your exhale, think about rounding chin towards your chest. So you might be looking at your feet, at your belly. And then again, inhale more into a cow pose. Exhale and round. So try not to lift. You're still in your forward fold here with the legs crossed, but you're just adding the movement to the spine. So as you inhale, you're arching, and on your exhale, you are rounding. But your hands stay where they're at. You're still reaching forward. A couple more. And last one, breathing in. And breathing out. Nice. And as you inhale, walk your hands back towards you. And then this time, we're going to try and roll over those knees, or you could come onto your side. And we're going to come and sit on the heels. So we're going to find the same movement that we did cross-legged, but now we're kind of sitting on the shins. So we're going to bring the hands onto the blocks. Maybe, again, you've got to kind of gauge where works best for you, but your hands are going to plant kind of close to your knees, maybe a little back, depending on the length of those arms, and plant them on your blocks. Now, you could do this with the tops of the feet to the mat, or you could do it with your toes tucked. See what works best for you. but it's going to be the same action. So try to find that lift through the lower belly. So you want to round your spine, think about protracting shoulders, and then when you're ready, you're just lifting your knees and your hips, and then lower. So your feet stay on the ground. Okay, so see if you can do that a few times and explore that action. And if you want to watch for a moment, you'll see that when I do this, my torso, my head comes forward, and it's almost like my knees, my nose and my knees are coming towards one another, and I'm lifting my lower back, hips, and then I come back down. And you should feel like this, the core of the body kind of scooping and lifting. So a few times at your own pace. There you go, nice, yes, yeah. Make sure that you're breathing. Yes, nice job. Now, just an option, okay, depending on how confident you're feeling with this movement and how maybe it's becoming a little bit more easy, you might get a little lighter on your feet. So the next time that you lift, you might think about lifting one foot off the ground and then bringing it back down, okay, just an option. And if you did one foot, try the other. A couple more times. You might find yourself lifting a little higher each time. And take one more. And then we'll meet back down here. Hands can rest on your thighs if you're comfortable sitting here on your heel stay. You could always bring your block between your feet and sit on your block instead. Maybe closing your eyes and just allow those movements kind of to settle, the body to reset. A breath in and a breath out. And there was a lot of closing the front body, right? So with that lift, we were rounding. So see if you can broaden now that front body or bring it back to neutral. Allow your chest to broaden, your rib cage, front ribs to open up slightly. Another breath in. And another breath. All right, nice. So from here, let's find a table pose. You're planting your hands, you're lifting your hips. So hands more or less on the shoulders, knees more or less on the hips. And a little bit more with those wrists. We're going to turn the left fingers towards the left, right fingers towards the right, left fingers any amount towards the knee, and right fingers any amount towards the right knee. And then pausing here, and we're going to shift a bit forward and back with that body. So you're taking your shoulders over or beyond your wrists, and then you're bringing them back. And as you do this, keep pushing down through the finger pads. And then come back through center, and now turn your fingers to face one another. Left fingers towards the right, and right fingers towards the left. And then from here, let's find some cows and cats. Drop the belly, chest forward, gaze up. Exhale, round your spine. So you'll notice that with your hands in this position, that kind of arching through upper back is a little bit limited. Focus on the movement through the lower part of your spine. So especially lower back and pelvis. And think about that tailbone really lifting as you come into your cow, and then that tailbone tucking under as you move into cat. A few times, breath in and breath out. Last one. And then come back to neutral. Turn your hands to face or your fingers to face forward and puppy pose. So knees and hips stay where they are and your hands slide forward. A little wider, a little bend in your elbows. And then allow your chest to drop towards the floor. Feel a stretch through armpits, chest, rib cage. And depending on how tight those hamstrings are, that lift of your sit bones might already be giving you some sensation there. Another breath in. And another breath out. And then we'll use the next inhale to walk those hands back towards us. And on your exhale, find a child's pose. Bring your arms by your side with your palms facing up. And then make some fists and extend. So fist and extend through those hands with your palms facing the ceiling. Just at your own pace, a few like that. At the same time, you're relaxing your shoulders. And a couple more breaths. And then bring those arms forward, and from your all fours, we'll make our way into downward facing dog, lifting those hips and those knees. And then once you get to down dog, maybe a pedaling of your legs, bend and straighten the knees, lift and lower your heels. And since if you've got your blocks nearby, you could try a down dog with your hands on blocks. Sometimes that lift will be nice for the wrists, and also will allow you to find a bit more length and lift through the sit bones. Eventually now find some stillness. Take a couple breaths. And then we'll use the next inhale to walk those feet towards the hands, and we'll find a forward fold at the top of the mat. Interlace your fingers, your hands, and bring those hands to the back of the head, the base of the skull. And then let your elbows be heavy, your head heavy as you drop towards the ground. Another breath in. And breath out. And then release what you have. Hands can come to the hips, a bend in your knees, and unroll the spine to rise all the way up to stand. Once you get to your mountain pose, practice a bit that tilt of the pelvis, drawing that pubic bone up towards your belly button up towards your lower ribs, and that tailbone tucking gently kind of between the legs. That will engage your glutes, engage through your legs, your hips, and your shoulders are more or less in line. Take a moment, breath in, and breath. With your next inhale, reach your arms wide and up. And on your exhale, right arm down for a side bend. Inhale, come back through center. And exhale, take it to your other side. Inhale through center. And now on your exhale, lower your arms in front of you to shoulder height, as if you were in a plank pose, but in this standing position. Your palms are going to be facing out. Your fingers are gently drawing towards you. And then we're going to protract those shoulder blades. So those shoulder blades are wrapping forward. And then retract. Those shoulder blades are squeezing towards each other. Do that a couple more times. Protract, shoulder blades spread. Retract, shoulder blades squeeze. Your arms don't change. And again, protract. And retract. Notice that movement in your upper back. And now stay with that protracted position. You're pushing actively through your hands. You're squeezing through the glutes. And then think about that lower belly drawing gently in and up, shortening the distance between your lower ribs and your pubic bone. Push actively into the floor and maybe lift your toes, drawing those toes towards your shins. And this is exactly a plank pose, but in this standing position. With your next breath in, release this. Let your arms dangle, soften through your legs. Take a shift forward and back on the soles of the feet. With your next breath in, arms wide and all the way up overhead. And as you exhale, a bend in your knees as you fold. Inhale for a halfway lift, lengthening. And exhale, planting your hands, stepping your feet back, downward facing dog. So now let's take that plank pose into a floor plank. So when you're ready, inhale, come out into your plank. And now try to do the same things that you did in that standing position. Protract shoulders, gently rotate the inner part of your elbows forward. Keep pushing down through your finger pads, base of fingers, palm. And then find that gentle tucking of your tailbone and try to shorten the distance between pubic bone and lower ribs. Now, it's easy to overdo some of those cues here, right? So you don't want to find yourself in a cat position with your spine. You want to find a little bit kind of a middle place, okay? But your shoulder blades are still protracting. But you're trying to also find some space in your chest. Your tailbone is tucked, but you're not overdoing that either. A couple more breaths. You could also do this with your knees down, remember. And then with your next exhale, back into downward facing dog. Soften through the neck, the face. Move a little bit if that feels good. Full breath in. And a full breath out. Another one here. I'm going to do it one more time. We'll hold for 5 breaths. So when you're ready, come out into your plank pose. Now remember your legs. Remember how your legs felt in the standing plank. See if you can do the same thing here. Kneecaps are lifting towards your hips. Thighs are moving away from the floor. Breathing in. Breathing out. Again, full breath in, full breath out. And last one, breath in. Always you could do knees down. And then exhale back into downward facing dog. And now from your downward facing dog, walk your hands towards your feet. And find a forward fold. Hold on to opposite elbows. Allow gravity to traction on the spine, to relax through the shoulders, heaviness through arms and head. And you can always bend your knees. And recover that breath. Notice if your breath became a little bit more shallow or fast in those plank poses. And then bring hands to your hips and slowly unroll your spine as you rise all the way up to stand. Once you get here, arms by your side, palms face forward, crown of the head reaches tall. Take a breath. And then use your next breath in to reach your arms wide and up. On your exhale, left arm down, side bend. Inhale back through center. Exhale to your other side. Inhale through center. Interlace your fingers overhead, palms towards the ceiling. Push those palms away. Breath in. And on your exhale, take your arms wide and then bring your hands behind you and interlace them at your lower back. Squeeze those shoulder blades, squeeze those elbows towards one another, and then send those knuckles towards the floor. Find some space in your chest. Take a full breath in. And on your exhale, you can keep your hands interlaced. Bend your knees, chest and belly towards your thighs, and folding forward. Maybe as you fold, your arms reach tall. If you're reaching those knuckles towards the ceiling, don't let the fronts of your shoulders drop towards the floor. Think about your knuckles actively reaching up and pulling your shoulder blades closer and lifting the fronts of your shoulders away from the floor. Another breath. And then release those hands, halfway lift on your inhale, and exhale, fold. With your next breath in, walk your hands forward, come into a downward facing dog. A full inhale and a full exhale. As you inhale, lift your heels, and to a count of 5, bend your knees, and we're lowering for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Knees to the mat and table pose. Hands under your shoulders. You might untuck your toes here. Right arm is going to reach out to the side and then up towards the ceiling. Turn your torso towards the right. Pause here for a moment. Make a fist with your top hand and rotate your wrist gently in one direction. And then rotate in the other. Keep pushing the floor away with your bottom hand. And then open up that right hand and thread that right arm under the left as you look to the left. Inhale, open. Exhale again, thread. And inhale, open. And exhale to thread. Now on your inhale, open. And as you exhale, we are threading, and we're going to lower shoulder and head to the ground. So a pillow, a block, maybe to land on, might be helpful. If you're comfortable landing on the ground, then use the ground. Your left hand is going to be by your face, and then I'll give you some options here, but you're always welcome to stay in this position. And remember, if this one is no way working, come to a seated position and then cross your right arm across the chest and use your left hand to draw that arm a bit closer, and you'll get that stretch also through the outer part of your right shoulder. So that's always an option. Now, if you are on the ground from this table pose and you want to explore a little further, first activate your right arm. So you're pushing into the ground with the top of the hand, your fingernails, the forearm, and the outer part of your shoulder. And then your left hand, your left fingers might walk forward or overhead. You might be on your fingertips, palm lifted, and then think about lengthening that left side all the way from those fingers to your left hip. Pause here. Another breath in. And breath out. If your left hand was out, bring it back. Plant it by your face, and we're going to unwind. Put weight into that left hand to rise up. Reach your right arm all the way up, right torso opening to the right. And then on your exhale, lower that right hand down. Come back into table pose. Switching side. When you're ready, left arm reaches out, up. Exhale, and make a fist, and rotate that left wrist. A few in one direction, a few in the other. Give an extra push through the bottom hand. And then open up that palm, and on your exhale, thread that arm under the right, turn to the right. Inhale again to your left. Exhale and thread. Inhale, open. Exhale, thread. And this time, inhale, open. And on the exhale, we're going to thread, and we're going to lower that shoulder, the head, side of the head, to a block, to the floor, to a pillow. And then just take a moment here. Notice the sensations, and you might wiggle your hips a little bit and notice how the position of your hips affects that stretch. And then again, activate a bit more through your left arm. So rather than just passive weight against the ground, think about your left arm pushing a little bit more into the floor. And then you might choose to keep your right hand where it is or walk your right fingers forward and finding a bit more length, a bit more stretch through the right side of the body. Send your right hip slightly back. And taking a couple breaths here. And if your hand was out in front of you, bring it back, plant it by your face, put weight into that right arm, and then open up towards the left. Give yourself a stretch here. And on your exhale, return your left hand to the mat. Okay, take a cow pose, breath in. And then on your exhale, come into cat and come onto your fingertips. So again, lifting your palms and then walk your fingers a little closer to your knees. And then really emphasize the rounding through your upper back, mid-back. And then find again that engagement or that action, that scooping action through lower belly. And again, think about your tailbone trying to tuck between your legs. Another breath in. And another breath out. And then release this. And come and sit again on your heels. And we'll try that scooping action one last time. And then we'll take it onto our backs. So again, your blocks under your hands, as I said, will be extra helpful. Your hands are going to plant close to your knees, shall we say. Sometimes the cue is that fingertips are in line with your knees, but I think it really depends. So you've got to play with it and find the best position here. It's definitely not back by your hips, so it's more forward. You're going to find that rounded spine, find that protraction through your shoulder blades, and then see if you can lift those hips, lift those knees towards your chest, and then return. Play around with that a couple more times. Think about that rounded spine. And you could pair the lift with your exhale, because it's with your exhale that you're drawing or you're using those abdominal muscles to push the air out. So see if that helps. Breathing in and then exhaling to lift. And try it a couple more times. And again, just as an option, depending on how this is going, you might even lift so far that you're able to roll over your toes and come into a forward fold. Okay, so just an option, a few more breaths here to play with. And if you did that forward fold, come back onto your tiptoes and slowly onto the tops of the feet to lower those knees back down. Okay, so that again is about using that lower belly, that core here. And it's going to, if your hands are on blocks, will give you a bit more space to do this, a bit more clearance with the floor. And that's really going to be helpful. And remember, your blocks have different heights. The first height is going to be the most stable one, so it will allow you to put a bit more weight in there. The other are going to be a little less stable, but might be enough if there's the strength in the core. So a couple more times if you wish. Yeah, nice job. And then when you're ready, come back to that seat, and we're going to swing those feet to one side and plant those sit bones on the floor and legs in front of us. From here, let's extend those legs out. And let's bring those feet a little wider. And you can use your hands here to prop yourself up. You might make fists this time to give those wrists a break. And then just some loose movement through the legs. So let your toes go out, away from one another. Feet flop out, and then let them come back in. Just a few movements like this in those legs. And you could do that kind of random if you wish, or you could then take those toes in the same direction and then in the other. And then let's take this movement into those window shield wipers. So we're going to bend those knees, plant those feet. Knees are wide, feet are wide. Take a full breath in. And then on your exhale, knees drop towards the left. Your right sit bone is going to lift. And then come back through center and knees towards the right. And a couple more times from side to side. And then the next time that your knees are towards your left, pause there. Bring your right hand all the way over to the left side and turn your torso any amount towards the space behind you. And so now looking for a stretch through kind of the belly, the side waist. And then of course you'll get probably a stretch through the front of the right hip. Notice that. And then return that right arm and knees back through center. And let's do the same thing towards the right side. Drop your knees to the right. Left sit bone will lift. And then your left hand is going to come over and turn your torso any amount towards the space behind you. And again, notice whatever you notice here. And sometimes, what I notice or cue might not be that obvious in your body. There might be other sensations that are more obvious, so make a note. And then let's return. Left arm comes back, knees come back through center, and let's make our way onto our backs. And bring your block, at least one block nearby. Arms can reach out in front of you. Take a full inhale. And then on your exhale, slow and controlled, we're lowering to the mat. And here it might be also helpful to think about that scooping action through lower belly. Control the weight of your head, chin to chest. And then eventually the head will reach the ground and more of a neutral spine here. Knees can come in towards the chest. Your hands might grab a hold of your knees and you might find some movement, whatever movement you wish right now. Some circles, separate circles. Shift from side to side, front to back. All right. And then we're going to plant the feet and we're going to do a bridge pose, but I'm going to give you the option of planting your feet on the block. Okay. I said one block. It might be best 2 blocks, one under each foot, but you might do okay just with one block and place it kind of the long side facing you. And then your feet are going to be on the block. I don't know, probably heels better to be on the block if the whole foot doesn't fit. Okay. But again, play around with that. And then arms are coming by your side and we're going to lift into bridge. So push into those feet, into your forearms and lift your hips. And quite a squeeze through the glutes to keep those hips lifting. And then draw those knees towards one another. Try not to let them splay out. So you're engaging through the inner part of your legs too. Keep your gaze down the midline. And give a little extra push through your arms, a squeeze through the shoulder blades. Take a breath in. Take a breath out. And one more here, breathing in. And breathing out. Slow and controlled, lowering those hips back to the ground. And then you can keep your left foot on the block and bring your right knee into your chest. Give it a squeeze. And then draw your right knee towards your right armpit. And then you could stay here, or you could let your left knee drop towards the left. So you might roll onto the pinky side of your left foot. It's almost like knees are moving away from each other. Breath in and breath out. And then bring that left knee back through center, and now find a figure 4. Cross your right ankle over that left thigh. And your left foot can still be on the block. And then send your right knee away from you. Now before you release this figure 4, check in with your lower ribs and see if you could drop your lower ribs towards the floor. So draw them gently down. And then release, right foot comes back to the block if you were still using the block, and then your left knee is going to come into your chest, give it a squeeze. Pause here for a moment. Again, try to drop your lower ribs. And then guide that left knee towards your left armpit. And then option also to roll onto the pinky side of your right foot, dropping your right knee towards the right. Keep coming back to your breathing. And then bring that right knee back in if it went to the side, and then cross your left foot over that right thigh to find your figure 4. Right foot can still be on the block. Using the strength in your left hip, send your left knee away from you, left foot is flexed. And then again, just bring your awareness to your lower ribs. You could bring your hands there for a moment and notice if those lower ribs are flaring up. You might notice also that if that's the case, your kind of lower back, lower mid back is lifting off the ground. See if you can drop that, bring those lower ribs down, and your back body will come a bit closer to the mat. And then release your figure 4. Move the block away, put it to the side, and then plant your feet. Take your feet a little wider, pigeon toe, and let your knees rest against one another. If your hands are still on your belly, your rib cage, notice the breath and make it a bit more obvious. Take a deeper, longer inhale. And find a longer exhale. Now find the longest inhale available to you at this point. And then follow it with the longest exhale available to you. And then try that one more time. Longest inhale. And the longest exhale. And then allow your breath to be a normal breath. And find the most comfortable position for your body at this point. We'll be here for about 5 minutes or so. Make sure that it is a comfortable place, that it is a place that will allow you to stay still and will allow you to relax as best as you can. So use as many props as is helpful, and those blocks under the knees, those pillows, and support your head. Find length in the back of your neck. And then we'll take a little scan of the body to invite some softening, some release of tension. And so start by noticing your feet, bringing your attention to your toes, to the tops and the soles of the feet, from the ball of the foot to the heel. And then whatever part of your foot that is making touch, contact with ground, see if you can allow that foot to drop into that area, to relax, to be heavy. And then travel up your ankles, shins, calves, and to your knees. And then see if there is any extra tension that can be released. Can you get your calves even closer to the ground? Can you allow your legs to outwardly rotate? And then move up the thighs. And same thing here. Can you relax the thigh muscles, the hamstrings? And as you arrive at your hips, can you allow again the hips to be broad here? And then your glute muscles making contact with ground, can you allow them to relax, to really drop towards the ground? And as you come up through your torso, your belly, your side waist, your back body, is there any tension there that could be released? And then finding your chest and your shoulders. And maybe the fronts of the shoulders could broaden and drop down. And that might translate in some kind of release through your arms, your upper arms, your forearms, your wrists, your hands and fingers. And then bringing your attention to the neck and the head. And feel the heaviness of your head, maybe against ground. And can you let that head really settle in? Can you let the ground take that weight? And then invite some softness into the face. And you could invite space in the forehead, around your or between your eyebrows. And the softening of your cheeks towards the floor. The corners of your eyes and the corners of the mouth are heavy. And for a few more moments, relish in this relaxed, soft, restful place. And as we begin to contemplate moving out of this state, what can you take from it into the rest of your day? So you might keep some of this restful, relaxed state with you, or you might keep a memory of it so that you can come back to it at any time during your day. As we begin to gently move with the breath, make sure that you're not overdoing it. So keep some of this ease and begin to just wiggle your toes, your fingers, and gently rotate ankles and maybe wrists. And take your time moving in any of the ways that feel good. And then when you're ready, we'll meet in a comfortable seat with the hands resting in the lap or bringing the hands to the heart. Give yourself a breath in and a breath out. And let's acknowledge the practice itself. And let's acknowledge ourselves for practicing. Let's acknowledge those who have practiced with us. And let's acknowledge those who make it possible. And as always, we'll end with a word that means that the light in me recognizes and honors the light in you. Namaste.